longest running daily radio show about real estate. And we are here on our Tuesday tools, tips, and techniques, talking primarily about some of the techniques that I think a lot of our listeners need to be paying attention to. There's no question, as I mentioned earlier, that there will be an increase in foreclosures once these artificial supports in the market exist right now that are preventing banks from foreclosing, that are preventing landlords from evicting. And so there's this artificial sort of a suspended animation in the world of real estate. Now, in spite of that suspended animation, there is a large pent-up demand. And that's why I said it's going to be a spike, not it's not going to be another one of these bubble crashes. It's going to tank the market for 8-9 years. I think this is going to be short-lived. And so on both sides of the equation, if you're on the brink of distress or in a precarious situation, you got to act fast, because the banks are going to act fast. They know they've got a market that they can play to, and they're going to go after the equity that they can get, and they're going to be a lot more savvy. They went through the last decade when we had the Great Recession, and they learned a lot. They didn't forget any of that stuff, and they're much better equipped for a spike in foreclosures than they were the first time. On the other side, investors, you guys got to be ready, because this is going to be an opportunity. The window is going to get flown wide open, and then you're going to watch that window start to close and close faster and faster. And like I said, this is not going to be a long, drawn-out process, but it will be tumultuous. You'll see the headlines, and people will freak. And those people that are not prepared, my father always told me that there are three kinds of people in this world. There are those people, the small minority, the 1% that make things happen. There are another 5% of the people out there that watch and understand what happens. And then there is the other 95% of the population out there that wonders what the heck happened. And I don't want you to be part of that 94%. So Foreclosure Man, we were talking, before about, just before the break on what this is going to look like and why it's important. You can't just pick a lawyer out of the yellow pages.
The problem, it's always been the case with the public. Attorneys have a secret, how can I say this? It's a secret occupation. Unless you're a law firm, legitimate, and I have to be careful with my choice of words, but unless you're a law firm that focuses on corporate representation, retainers, and a long-term relationship with any one of their corporate clients, as a member of the public, you have great difficulty picking an attorney, and usually it defeats your purpose of picking an attorney. You say, the hell with it. But going in and interviewing an attorney, you don't have any questions, you don't have any of the right questions to ask. The institutional arrogance that exists in the legal industry, I call it an industry, and they get pissed off at me, and I won't apologize for it. It is an industry. They take advantage of people, something fierce. They'll tell you all sorts of things. They're not going to lie to you. I have found that to be true. What they will do is say things that are totally inappropriate, though, about what they do and won't do. And then when you do hire them, you try to get a hold of them. Here in Florida, anyhow, you'll wait and die an old person's death before you have them call you back. They're too good and too smart to spend their time talking with you. They're more concerned about their billable hours than the quality of the time that they bill you for. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's one of the first things we've learned. So when we have our attorneys working for you on a case, that attorney gets back to us in seconds. Well, maybe not seconds, but within minutes of our request for information, because we hold the key to a fair amount of billable time for our attorneys. And we know what our attorneys are capable of. We know what questions to ask. We know what suggestions to make to them, because this is all we do. They may do other work. And we get a much better result out of our attorneys than any individual who's going to go out because their brother said, their mother said, their uncle said, or they picked the name out of the yellow pages that they'll get from some attorney on the fly. It's a waste of time. A lot of these attorneys, even if they know the foreclosure defense business, they'll call it that, they cut and paste from one case to another case to another case. I can't tell you how many cases we've seen with Mary Jo Smith named in the pleading when it was Jim Wilson, whose case they were supposed to be defending. They just get so careless. It's disgusting. We not only make sure they're sharp, but they're using the right defense and maybe going beyond. We can't direct the rules and the bar ethics prevent an attorney from taking direction from a third party. So we can't direct them. But invariably, we know more about these cases than the attorney does, and they will take our advice most of the time.
Especially when you have a proven strategy and a track record of knowing how to navigate, where I was once told that the secret to walking on water is to know where the stones are. And what I have seen over the years, you talk about the cut and paste attorneys. When the Great Recession, the bubble of 2008, it's got so many different names. When that happened, there was not a long list of foreclosure attorneys in the Yellow Pages. If you were to pull out the Yellow Pages for 2007 and look up foreclosure attorney, you'd be lucky to find one or two. By 2009, there were pages in the Yellow Pages of the so-called foreclosure attorneys, most of them from different fields. They were bankruptcy attorneys. They were title attorneys. They were brand new graduate attorneys that just happened to walk into an very easy, plenty of clients business, even though all they were doing is they said, well, I don't know what to do. What did the last guy in court do? Cut and paste, and they did it. Everyone raised the exact same argument. Oh, they lost the issue of does the lender have the note? Do they have the original note? Does that defense, which by the way was used by, I will say 80% of the people back in 2009, does that defense hold any water today?
It depends. If it's a case where Washington Mutual was the originating lender, and that note winds up in the hands of Chase Morgan Bank, you bet it does, because I have all of the data necessary to show that Chase doesn't have the note. And in fact, we have a deposition from an officer of Washington Mutual who went over to Chase and had to acknowledge that Chase never received any of the notes. And what you're talking about there isn't 10 or 15 or 20,000 notes. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of notes. And when we go beyond that, we go to Wells Fargo, who's picked up the pickup case from, I'm trying to remember the name.
World Savings.
From World Savings, from Herb and Marion Sandler, who actually asked Wells Fargo, Wachovia, to buy them. And Wachovia did buy them. And then Wachovia quickly went under, and Wells Fargo picked up that paper. All of the distinctions that took place between the transfers of notes from various certificates they're part of our memory. They're part of our memory bank. And those notes are still out there in a second and a third attempt. So when we get one of these cases, we come to the table completely differently educated than an attorney who picks the case up, even if they've been doing mortgage foreclosure defense for 5 years or 10 years.
I'm telling you.
What we have too is we know that there are notes that we can attack in other states because the state law is more advantageous to a homeowner who's being sued for foreclosure in the state of Florida for the mortgage, because most people don't understand. There's two distinctly different documents, a note and a mortgage is signed. And you're being sued on a mortgage in Florida, but if you know the right things about the note, you can sue the bank in return in the state where the note is allegedly residing. It's really too complicated for your show, but it's...
not only that, foreclosure man, we ran out of time. The music coming in, that means that we're out of time. But I want to tell our audience that the last 7 minutes of this show, there were some golden, important nuggets. This is what separates what is out there versus, your run-of-the-mill foreclosure attorney and somebody that has a strategy. You got to get with asktheforeclosureman.com. That's asktheforeclosureman.com. Foreclosure man, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off, but that's what the rules are on the radio. We got to go. But that was incredibly powerful stuff. I want to thank you for that. I hope you guys go back and listen to the last 7 minutes of our show. That was great stuff. Anyway, that's it for today. This is Eric Willner signing off for another edition of the Real Estate Show. Remember to drive safe, wash those hands, make it a great day, and God bless America. Boom, that was great stuff.
Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Show, brought to you by Capital
Thank you, Ken.
LLC in Boca Raton.
So we're going to wrap it up here for our friends here on YouTube. Have a good night. Thank you very much. And chalk that one right up there for YouTube.